we're going to continue on with those 4 things that we need to guard ourselves against. We started with the way we do things, and now we're going to talk about guarding ourselves from our words, from our heart and our character. So words are really important. They are irreversible. And once they're out, you can't take them back. And many of us might say something and we go, oh, I'm just kidding. The damage has been done. It is not reversible. You cannot take them back. You can't just say, I'm just kidding, even though we want to. And you know, there's times where you've said something, you're like, oh gosh, I wish I could take those words and put them back in my mouth. Well, we can't. Words are either from heaven or hell, and they're either good or bad. There is no in between. So words either comfort or lift up, they heal, or they destroy, and they discourage, and they tear down. So we have to be really careful about those words that we use. And if you are brought up in a dysfunctional family, words are very painful. And I think sometimes when we talk about physical abuse and sexual abuse and such, those are tangible things. The things that we can't see are the verbal and the emotional abuse. And so we'll talk about that later as well, but I want you to see how important it is for you to guard your words. So in my home, growing up, as I grew up in a very young family, and there were 3 words that I will not let my kids say today, and they're grown adults now and they think I'm silly, but those 3 words I call my 3 S's: stupid, shut up, and selfish. I cannot stand any of those because I was told often to shut up. So I learned really quick that my opinion didn't matter, or that maybe I was too loud or rambunctious. And I always thought that I wasn't a creative person, and it's because I was squelched so much because I wasn't allowed to speak. So a lot of kids in my house, a lot of chaos. My parents were young, their parents were young, and so there was very little room for patience. Don't get me wrong, love my parents. Everybody's done the best that they can, but still, shut up is a horrible, horrible word. And you know, we've all been guilty of saying it. There's other ways to say it. So I could say, be quiet, or hush, or I'll listen to you in just a moment, but can you stop talking right now? That word shut up is cutting, and it hurts, it digs deep. The word selfish is, if you have a need, then you're not allowed to have it. And so we think that if we ask for our needs to get met, then we're selfish, and that's not okay either. And then the word stupid. What a stupid girl. You are so dumb. And that is not true. We make mistakes like we've already talked about, and that's how we learn. That doesn't mean that I'm stupid. So I want you to think about what are the words that you call yourself, because it's really easily done. I can remember a time where I was driving, and I just got done teaching this class, and I had a little stick shift car, and the light was red, nobody else was around me, and I'm sitting at the light, and there's a yellow, what looked to me was paint on the road, and I thought it was just paint. So I take off, my phone had dropped, I go to pick up my phone, and I run over what I think is this yellow paint, and it's not. It's a 5-inch concrete barrier, and I blow out all my tires. And I verbally said out loud, "What a stupid ass you are." And I'm thinking, whoa, where did that come from? I've had tons of therapy, I've been teaching this class for a long time, and it just came out. So we usually replace that lie with the truth, which is, I made a mistake. And now I need to pull over, and I need to get new tires, and I need to call my husband and ask him to come help me out. That's the truth, but I'm not a dumbass. I'm not stupid. So guard your words and really think about those words that you're sharing with other people, the nicknames that you were called when you were a kid. My name's Kimberly, and I liked cucumbers when I was a kid. And I would pack, my mom or grandmother would pack those for me, and they would call me Kimberly Cucumber. And as a kid, I thought, they're making fun, what's wrong with me? And now today I know they were probably just playing the word game. And it was really okay, Kimberly Cucumber's kind of cute. But for me, and the way my self-esteem was at the time, it was a source of shame for me. So let's really think about those words that you use. Okay, so let's move on to the next, which is our heart. if you can imagine, your heart is kind of like your garden, and it's the soil of which you plant things. And so whatever you put into your thinking becomes a part of who you are. So imagine that you have to guard your heart from what you put in it. So a gardener would say, I'm going to plant this seed, and I'm going to make sure that it flourishes and grows. So we have to be careful about what we're planting. And those words plant discomfort or healing, or they tear us down or they lift us up. So let's use, Baylis Conley used this metaphor of a garden and radishes. And this gardener says to this other guy, you know, what do you have in your garden? And he says, radishes. He goes, oh, well, do you plant anything else? And he goes, no, I eat radishes every day. I eat them at morning, lunch, and dinner. I've ate them yesterday, I ate them last month, and I'm gonna eat them later. And I hate radishes. And the guy goes, well, if you hate radishes and you're sick of them, why don't you plant something else? And he's like, oh, okay. Never thought about that. So that's what we're asking you to do in this process, is plant something else. And you are the gardener, you're the person that oversees what you put in your heart. So guard your heart and be careful what you're planting. The next one is, and the last one is your character. So let's say, for example, we talked earlier about our character is that which happens when no one's looking. So let me give you a really good example of a little movie star that we all know and love. And when you think about Lindsay Lohan, you think about when she was a little girl in Parent Trap, and she played the twin sisters, and she was so cute, and everybody thought she was very talented, and her character at the time looked playful and talented, and everybody wanted a Lindsay Lohan or wanted to be like that. So fast forward a couple decades, and we see that some of the choices that Lindsay has made in her life, and hopefully she's making them, but she's made many mistakes, and hopefully today things are better and a new way has happened. But let's just say some of the mistakes that she's made, and she's in the 20s and she's engaging in some of this destructive behavior, and she comes to you and says, hey, I just got out of treatment and I'm making really good choices and really love your granddaughter. Can I take her to the mall with me? I'm really good, I've been out for a week. And you're likely to go, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, not yet. And so later on, she comes back and she goes, well, it's been a month, it's been a couple months, and I'm really doing well. So you're still going to be a little bit apprehensive, but her character is such that you know she's had this history, and so you're going to be reluctant and apprehensive to let them do that. That's what happens with our character too. As you make these choices and these changes in your life, people are going to doubt you. They're going to be reluctant. They're going to think that you're needing a little bit more or whatever, and it's going to take time to trust, but you do this for you. You don't do this for other people. So that's a really good point for you to consider, as when you are making these changes in your life, and we talked about the difficulty of crossing our arms and how easy it is to go back to the way we used to do things. I want you to consider this scenario. It's called the chair exercise. And imagine that we put this big, brawly man on top of possibly like the chair that I'm sitting on. And he's facing you, the camera, and he's standing there. He's super strong. And I asked this little girl that's about 90 pounds to get directly in front of him and ask them to lock arms. So each other is holding each other's elbows and wrists, and they're facing each other. And I say to the big, brawly man, I want you to lift this little girl up to you. You can't bend your knees and you can't jump or anything. I just want you to take brutal strength and try to lift her. If you imagine that, you would think he could do it, but really it's not going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy for him to do that because he has no leverage, and he can easily be taken off guard, regardless of how strong he is. So it's going to be a difficult task for him. But if I say to the little girl, okay, see if you can get this big brawly man off the chair. And she's going to be able to do it, because all she's going to be able to do is jerk him down. He's going to lose his balance, and he's likely to fall easily. It's the same thing that happens with our character. You can fall really easy if you're not set up for the support, that you're learning, continuing to learning, that you're discussing this with somebody that's safe. Not those people that can tear you down, but those people that are safe. Because it's really easy to get pulled down off of the progress that you've made, and it doesn't take much. It takes a while for you to get built back up and work on those things that have been given to us. Because each of us have been entrusted with some special gift that we hope through Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs to be able to someday get to that, where we're self-actualized. So I want you to really think about your character. So I'm going to end this session with, I want you to think about, okay, I'm going to be introduced to this group. And my friend or my husband or my mother's going to introduce me. How would she introduce you? So I want you to write that out. And then I want you to go, how would, and not look at it. Then I want you to go, how would I introduce myself? And then compare those two narratives. And that'll give you a really good idea of where you need to start on what parts of your character you need to develop. Good luck with that. Thanks for listening.